Western Conference podcast, and we starting a new year off right. You guys already seen him on Rhythm and Flow. Mauso been here. He's been all in everybody's ears and on the streets. Shout out my brother TAJ'S. Santa Ana's own, Mr. TAJ'S. How you doing, my brother?
Cisco?
I see you, man.
Hey, thanks
this
for
been a
having
long
me,
time coming.
It has been a long time coming.
Because this has been under wraps because we've been talking even before the show. And I remember we ran into each other at the Island City thing for Booyah Tribe.
Right.
With Rich and Tone, and we had all
Right.
the family over there, and we started to talk a little bit. And that was the first time I kind of got my kind of grasp of you. But I was like, okay, Santa Ana kid, but we got to take it back because before we get into the rhythm and flow stuff, it's just been a whole circus for you ever since then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, a circus is one way to describe it. It's a little more manageable than a circus, but it's definitely been crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I got no complaints, but this is what I prayed for, and I'm here now.
Man, like, and I say that to say this. When people always say, man, you prayed for this moment because you don't know until you in it.
That part.
And when you in it, because a lot of people don't know, like, it took a lot to get to this point. Because, you know, we got to take it back from the beginning. Santa Ana is where the streets you grew up in at.
Straight like
Take
that.
us back to that.
Man, born in 1991.
Yeah.
You know,
Come on.
to my biological parents, Jerry and Sissy.
Yeah.
My biological father's Chamorro. His people from Guam.
Half a day.
You know, half a day. And then black and white on my mama's side.
Yeah.
But, you know, my folks got caught up in the typical inner city song and dance and got locked up. Both of them got locked up when I was a baby.
Man.
So then I got raised by my maternal grandparents. So I was raised in a black household.
Yeah.
Grew up in Santa Ana.
Yeah.
Didn't leave Santa Ana until like 2018, 2017.
Yeah, man.
That's when I moved to LA. But I mean, yeah.
But Santa Ana is where you grew up and threw up.
Yeah, straight like that. And my heart's there till I die.
Yeah.
If my body's elsewhere, my heart is still in the Annas. You know?
But you've been repping, like, even on the show, you made it a point to rep Santa Ana to the fullest.
Oh, yeah.
Was that something like when you were on, we'll get to that process, was that something you said, I was going to rep Santa Ana
Absolutely.
to the fullest? Yeah.
The funny thing is they billed me as Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I got pictures of like my audition paperwork, and I got pictures of like the behind the scenes scripts, if you will.
Yeah.
And they say TAJ'S, Santa Ana, California, but you know, Netflix is
Come
their call.
It's a whole beast right there,
And
right?
I do live in LA, and I've been living in LA for a long time, so I get it. You know, it's like
because they don't know the logistics, right?
Right.
Because we were just talking off before we started, like Long Beach and Santa Ana, like there's a whole plethora of cities that just kind of just under the Los Angeles umbrella.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Santa Ana, you know, if you from, the OC, LA, IE area, SantaAna's much less LA than Long Beach.
Yeah.
Like we in a whole different county.
Yeah.
You know, you cross
and people don't
county
know
lines.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, this Orange County. It's funny because if you're from Santa Ana, very seldom do you say I'm from Orange County. But we are. We're the heart of the county.
OC.
You know, and you go to downtown Santa Ana, you see the big water tower, it literally say downtown Orange County. Like Santa Ana actually existed before Orange County did.
Exactly.
So yes, it's got a lot of history there, but I will never represent, I do represent Los Angeles for the reality of the fact that I've lived there for the better part of a decade. And it's also like my family from LA.
Yeah.
And I got hella love for what LA's done for hip hop culture and culture in general.
Yeah.
But I would be out of place to be like, oh, I'm from Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
I'm from Santa Ana. And
because
I'm proud
people
to
in
say,
LA, they could take it the wrong way. Like, oh, is he repping us? We never seen him before.
Right.
So they real tedious with the street politics.
No,
out
down
there.
to the block.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you're going to be from somewhere, you better be from somewhere.
That part.
But take us back to Santa Ana growing up. Like, what was your music taste? What was something that you wanted to do as a kid? I mean, because everyone grows up through hardship.
Right.
Tell us about your hardships growing up and kind of seeing what your way out was going to be. When you were a kid, you really don't know what that avenue's going to be.
Right.
But what did you kind of explore when you was in Santa Ana as a kid?
You know what's funny you say that is I would say you probably normally don't know, but I did.
Wow.
I knew early. If it wasn't going to be music, it was going to be something in front of a lot of people. And I knew that I just wanted to be in front of audiences.
Entertainment-wise.
Some way, one way or another. And so I learned early I'm a terrible football player. I'm a terrible basketball player. I'm randomly really fucking good at bowling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which a lot of people don't know.
Randomly.
Randomly, It's not random, though, because, like both my Chamorro family and my black family are bowlers.
Yeah.
Actually, my parents met in a bowling alley.
Oh, nice.
Super
okay.
random ass fact. Just shout out Santa Ana Lanes. It's long gone now.
Yeah.
But anyways, in the household, I grew up obviously being raised by my grandparents, which came with a super unique situation.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times kids are raising kids. And I think that this is why we end up the way we end up, especially in the
say
hood,
that again.
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I'm raised by my grandparents, who I refer to as my mom and dad. I always had. I was 9 months old when they took me on. And when you're raised by people, like when I was born, I think my pops was pushing 60 maybe. No, he was in his 50s, and then my mama, she was also pushing 50.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine you being
Older
raised,
parent, yeah.
right, and they been around the block 100
Come
times.
on, man.
And they done already, you know, I don't want to say they fucked up, but they fucked, you know, the first generation of kids they raised, you know, could have been a little better.
Absolutely.
And so they get to me, and it's like, okay, we could do this a little bit more efficiently. So from a household standpoint, it's really that. It's like a very unique household. Music-wise, I'm being raised on B.B. King and Herbie Hancock, and then hella country music. Like, my folks are from the South.
Man, so it was like a big old plethora of different types of music. Yeah,
man. My daddy's from Arkansas.
Okay.
And my mom's from Missouri.
Midwest.
Yeah, straight like that. And so being in a Southern Midwestern household, like, the music is going to be what they listen to naturally. You listen to what your folks listen to.
That's the influence, absolutely.
Right? I didn't even really get around hip hop like that until I started kicking it with the homies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and my mom was not turning on Power 106. She was not turning on 93.5 K-Day.
Yeah.
She was listening to K-Frog, or my daddy was listening to 94.7 The Wave.
So you wasn't exposed to the hip hop culture until you were with the homies.
Yeah, really. You know what I mean? My uncles from the neighborhood, like, I was raised by the village. You understand where I'm coming from? Like, I have a lot of chosen family. And my Uncle Bubba and my Uncle John and KD, they're from a rap group called Day One.
Okay.
They really my homeboys' uncles.
Yeah.
But I've been knowing them since I was like a
So
little
it already kind
baby.
of fell into place.
So they my uncles, right?
Yeah.
And so since they was MCs, I was introduced to hip hop through them, like, by the time I was 10.
Yeah,
right?
wow.
And so, but them being MCs and practitioners, they're not just fans, put me in a whole different stratosphere when it comes to how I look at the art.
Yeah.
And so I was rapping by the time I was 10 or 11 years old.
When you was rapping, I mean, before even that, you kind of got into the dance thing a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You got to take us back
How
to
you
this.
know that?
Come
How
on,
you know
man.
that?
I do my homework on my brother a few times,
How you know
so I know
that,
little
man?
things. The dancing was the big part of what little Jerry was doing
Real
back there.
shit.
But tell us, because that had an impact on your life as well.
Huge impact.
Yeah.
I mean, before I even knew that I wanted to rap, I was dancing. But I think that's just, especially our peoples and on both sides of my family, like, we groove, baby.
Yeah.
Like, when you play the drums, we gonna dance.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
That's just what you're doing.
Even if you can't dance, you're gonna dance.
Absolutely.
And so I think that, you know, my granny, her name's Tina.
Yeah.
She my mama. She danced.
Yeah.
My daddy loved to dance. I got all these memories burned in my mind watching them dance together.
Yeah.
And then you just, like, you talking about the You Got Served era, the Usher My Way era. You know, I'm like watching
when they was dancing
real
videos.
shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching music videos, and, like, music videos was predominantly dancing.
Yeah.
And that was what was happening in all videos.
Yeah.
Whether it was rap videos, minus NWA, most hip hop videos, R&B videos, folks was dancing.
And speaking of dancing, speaking of Rich and Tone, during that era, that was something that we kind of looked at and kind of saying, man, we kind of have our own.
Right.
That's when you had the Aaliyahs and they was in the Usher My Way videos.
They
So
sure the fuck was. That was what caught my eye. Was,
come on.
And I didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah.
But I caught my eye in that choreo, and when they're doing the battle, Tyrese's crew and Usher's crew, and I see these two fair-skinned, long-haired dudes, and I'm like, man, they look a lot like my cousins. Man. Right? And
that's
the crazy
what it
thing
was.
is I actually grew up in my neighborhood with some Talawingas.
Yeah.
And fast forward to many years later when me and Rich and Tone got super tight, they're like, those are my peoples.
Yeah.
So little did I know, in Santa Ana, I'm being raised with they peoples.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so
Full
anyway,
circle.
the dancing stuff came around, and around the same time I was discovering the mic, I also was discovering my love for street dance and you know, was involved with, like, the first wave of crump in Orange County with the Dunamis family, and I used to dance under this dude named Dance Fever and Ruckus and them, and I was getting down with this crew that was kind of like the polarizing crew to the Crump Kings, but it was still kind of part of that moment. And learned, just like football and basketball, I learned I was a significantly better MC than I was a dancer, right?
But you still gave it a shot,
right? And I never left it. Like, my life still revolves around dance to this day.
Absolutely,
you know, to this day, my life. I get paid to care about dancing. You know what I'm saying?
Because we run back to where we at the thing for Booyah Tribe.
Right.
When we had Rich and Tone there. You were actually doing something with Red Bull at the time.
Right.
Because I was like, okay, because I was trying to solidify where you were either an MC or you were a dancer. Because I was like, is he? And then I see the Red Bull stuff you were doing. Tell us a little bit about the Red Bull stuff you were doing.
Yeah, so I mean, for the last, before Rhythm and Flow, it was 3 years, I've been the senior producer of dance at Red Bull on the U.S. side.
Man,
so
come on.
All things Red Bull BC1.
Yeah.
All things Red Bull Dance Your Style.
That's not something light, too. You gotta just go run right over that. You know? Like, you was the director of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like from a content standpoint,
Yeah.
you know, my primary focus was making sure the content was outstanding.
Yeah.
And trying to, you know, just reach the audience through social media, reach the audience through everything from TikToks to feature films, and then also all the event coverage. So if you watch, you know, Red Bull BC1 on the US side, if you see content there, it was probably me and my team that
That's crazy.
And same with Dance Your Style, which is like probably the higher performing property, Dance Your Style. And through that, I was able to really like get close with Rich and Tone and really connect there, and brought Rich and Tone out to the New York City World Final for BC1.
Man, come on.
I thought I was gonna be the big dog. Like, bro, Rich and Tone walk in a room and every B-boy in that place was lost like, their shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which also gave me hella points because you know these B-boys is like, yeah, I know he worked for Red Bull, but do we really fuck with him
until
like
you
that?
brought Rich and Tone with you?
Like, this your people?
Yeah, exactly.
Stamped. I'm straight.
Stamp of approval was there.
Right, right. Real shit, man. So, yeah, no, dance has been a major part of my creativity. It's been, the thing about dance that I love is that I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And I think that there's not enough of that.
Yeah.
Like,
being a fan of the craft.
I'm not going to the jam because I'm about to get off.
Exactly.
I go to the jam to watch.
For the culture, too.
And there really is not enough people that want to just go and watch. And I specifically love freestyle dance. Like, I love choreo work. Like, dancing is dancing.
Yeah.
But to watch
there's a big difference, though, too.
Right, come on.
Yeah.
Everything from jucking, turfing up in the bay, flexing, Chicago footwork. Come on,
man.
Crumping, walking, popping, locking.
But it always gets into like you said, popping and locking. Like that takes you to the street culture of it. Kind of moves you into where Cobra from Booyah Tribe,
right? Blue
like
City
when
Strutters.
they was the Blue City Strutters, like everyone that was down, like you know, everyone that in the Thriller videos, there was a piece that people don't really see where you know Cobra was in Captain EO, and you had those where we had those people doing what they did and they didn't get the kudos for it really. But now you have like the Rich and Tones of the world, and then they had what you was kind of saying. That culture of dance, was it something that was getting lost, not so much in the street side of it, or something that wasn't getting too much attention mainstream-wise for you?
I mean, like, are you asking my opinion on it?
Yeah, your opinion.
I would say that the thing about dance that I feel like people struggle with having a mainstream fanship is that dance was given to us as a support tactic.
Yeah.
Like, we view dance as the guys behind Usher, the guys behind Chris Brown.
The supporters, the supportings.
And every so often, maybe the artist is also an exceptional dancer. But the dancer alone is always seen as a supporting act, which is not true. You go to Red Bull BC1,
come on, man.
You see B-Boy Ronnie, B-Boy Victor, B-Girl Logistics. They are not the supporting act, bro. They are the main event. You understand what I'm talking about? And the Olympics showed us that, minus a couple of funny folks. And you know, but then you go to any jam, I promise you, like, Crump also is such a specifically beautiful art form in a way that it is like, yo, this is the main character right here. This dude is not here to back up homeboy or homegirl.
Yeah.
We're here to watch them. And
well, that took us back to like Rise. Like when Rich and Tone was doing something with that, like that kind of introduced people that wasn't in the dance culture to the Crump culture. And like that's when you see people that you would never think in a million years would be doing it.
Right.
But it kind of opened our eyes. Was something that if it was like a football, if you was thinking about sports, anything where that kind of like brought it to the forefront.
Absolutely.
And when they did that, that was kind of like, okay, we're missing out on a lot of things that we might not be tapped into.
I mean, it's a human experience, and we love human experiences. And if you have respect for anyone who can find a way to relinquish themselves from the burdens of that life handles,
man.
Whatever they do, whether it's playing ball, whether it's rapping or dancing in the case of Rise. And not only that, Rise was like a phenomenal fucking film, bro. Like, I don't give a damn that it's about Crump. It's just an amazing film.
The way it was put together was dope.
No, it changed the way documentaries are made forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, no, man, dance, like I said, dance has been a major, major part.
Yeah.
And it also influences the way that I create music. You know what I'm saying? When I rap, folks are always kind of like, they're not roasting me, but they comment on the way that I move on stage.
Well, because of the cadence.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I noticed that a lot through Rhythm and Flow.
All the homies is like, you dance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know your
I ain't gonna lie,
dance.
Jay. When you was on Rhythm and Flow and I seen some of the live performances, I said, this motherfucker dancing.
For real.
Because he had the little pauses and all that. I said, okay. He trying to like not get into his bag, but get into his bag.
Right.
Like, that was something you have all these different things. Like, we could take it back to the dance part we're talking about. When you're growing up in that, and that's an influential thing in your life, now you start getting into the MC. Now you're just they're saying he's getting the cadence and getting the dancing together, where you kind of mixing the two.
Absolutely.
Two elements of hip hop, right?
Absolutely.
Where you have the MCing part and you have the dance part.
Straight up.
How was you gonna say, how in this millions of people doing this dance and MCing thing, what was gonna set you apart? Like, what was you gonna say, I gotta do this to make it do that?
I wish I could say that I never thought, I mean, I wish I could say that I thought those thoughts, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I just love this shit, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what makes it dope.
Yeah. Like I wish I could say that I intentionally focused on dance because I knew it was gonna contribute to my capabilities as a writer, as an MC, or I wish I could say that I chose film because it was gonna make me a better artist. I just love this shit.
Yeah.
And if whatever God's gonna let me do in that moment, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so and from fucking 2003 to 2005, it was crumping.
Yeah.
Right. And then from 2005 till now, it was rapping.
Exactly.
And then there was a period until from 2018 till now, I'm also directing films and producing content. So it's like, I don't care what art you allow me to do. I'm gonna just do it and love it.
Yeah.
You understand? If God said, you know what, Jay, now it's a podcast, then I'm gonna do a podcast and I'm gonna do it well. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. I should say, I'm gonna do it at my best.
Yeah.
You understand? Where
because
I'm
you're gonna
coming
make sure when you're doing something, you want to do your best at what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you got to take me back to this. Like, we're talking about dancing in Southern California, where the culture of everyone being active in the gang life, being where it's at. Dancing is kind of not frowned upon, but it's kind of looked at like, oh yeah, we don't do that dancing shit.
you a square.
You know what I mean?
You soft.
So like, that's why when you had like people like Cobra doing it, they kind of made it cool.
Come on.
You know what I mean? They kind of, when it was pop locking at the end of Thriller, they kind of made it cool.
Come on.
But that's why when you just a regular Joe and you just kind of have this into your everyday life, how do you kind of separate yourself to kind of saying, yeah, I'm not the corny dude dancing? Because you have everybody so active saying, oh yeah, gangsters don't dance, we boogie. You know what I mean?
I'll say this. I can't speak for the whole culture, but there was something I learned early on when it came to Crump, is that Crump specifically, which was my introduction to like being a dancer, not just being a fan. Crump, a lot of the Crump culture models gangbanging culture, right? If your Crump name is Cisco, then I'm Lil Cisco or Junior Cisco, which sounds a lot like LG, BGs,
BGs, OGs,
right? And so and so then you part of this family, and then let's say you know, TAJ'S is little homie, I'm literally calling myself his little homie, right? So there's so much of the culture that is like mirrored,
intertwined into the whole thing.
Because Chaz and them, TAJ'S, he come from Menlo, Normandy, South Central, right? These dancers, they come from the hood, the same hoods that the gangbangers come from. So you walk and talk and dress the same way. I think that to anybody who even wants to offer up an opinion or make a decision on whether or not we're cool, they see that and it's like, well, they clearly from where we from, right? And so there was a lot of the homies that was active in the streets that would come around to the Crump sessions, real shit. And sometimes we were grateful they were there because when shit would jump off, it'd be like, nah, actually the real homies is here if you want to take it there, you know. But and a lot of them was dancing. Like, don't get it twisted. A lot of these gangsters
you guys kind of made it cool, man. Real you guys kind of made like the gangsters had to stay active, but they kind of like part of them wanted to be like, I could do that too,
right? And I can't speak for gangsters. But I must feel like, and this is me talking to the homies too, it's like, especially the time that I'm talking about, like 2005-ish, street culture is changing, right? It's not the 90s.
It's starting to transition.
And so it's like, you getting down with the neighborhood, but you also are trying to find other ways to express yourself because getting money is not the same as it was 10 years prior to that in the neighborhood, right? Things are
because you had to find a way.
Right. And I don't got the credentials to speak about that, but I will say that, like, just from an observation standpoint and seeing what my own family was going through, it was like, yo, the homies was like, yo, okay, I'm down with the neighborhood, but I got to find another thing too. And so that's why folks start rapping, start dancing, you know, whatever it is. I mean, now they selling Frenchies or whatever it is they got to do. You know what I'm saying? And so,
but it was definitely a time to be alive.
Right.
Like I always tell people, like, we always talk about that era.
Right.
And I mean, nothing against I always talk shit about the new generation. They just didn't have that era to kind of like go off of.
Right.
Because, I mean, nothing against what's going on now. But I think from that era to the 90s and that transition into the 2000s where it was a culture. It was like something that you can get behind. And now it's kind of like, I don't know where it's at now. I can't speak for that. But where it is for what you put it into your element, into going forward in your life, that's a part of your story.
Absolutely.
And that's why I wanted to go back to kind of say, you know, take us back to the Santa Ana days when you was dancing. And now we get this opportunity that falls in your lap.
Right.
Like I was telling people before, the dancing and the MCing, you was already going to be in front of a crowd. When this kind of came about, what was something that kind of said, okay, I could either do this or I could just kind of put my hat amongst these other ones and try to see what I do in the rhythm and flow?
I don't think I understand the question.
So when you had the opportunity for rhythm flow to come about, did you kind of say it was something, because you was already doing big stuff with Red Bull.
Right.
Was it something kind of say like, I'm gonna go do this, but are you going backwards in a sense? Because because you're seasoned. You know what I mean?
Question.
You already come something where you did the Red Bull thing, you're already doing your MC thing. You look at rhythm flow, at least I do, as something that as a beginner is starting to try to go do.
That's funny because I viewed it as the opposite.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Right? When I seen Rhythm and Flow season 1.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew Sir.
Yeah.
So I inherently knew D-Smoke.
Yeah, D-Smoke.
And Davion and the Goucher and Ferris family.
So you already had a taste of it through that.
Yeah. And when I seen what it did for Smoke, right? Because I knew Smoke as like the teacher / Sir's MD. He went on tour with Sir. He playing the keys. He's basically MD in the tour. Okay.
Because not a lot of people knew that the Sir D-Smoke connection was there.
Which had nothing to do with his success on the show.
Yes.
Right. Which a lot of people get fucked up.
Yeah.
But I seen what it did for Smoke. And I know that we are in a time where rarely does the audience get an opportunity to see what you do.
Got it.
While they also learn who you are.
Man.
And I believe that before I went on Rhythm and Flow, I did a little sold out show at the House of Blues in 2023.
Yeah.
And shout out Joe Sav and Island Block.
Man, shout out Island Block. It's the brothers right there.
You know, and I don't think I sold that show out because my music is going crazy.
Yeah.
It's because the people that bought the tickets love Jay.
Got it.
Right?
That was a support system.
Exactly.
You got it.
So when I seen Rhythm and Flow, I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
For me to go and show them what I do, but also show them who I am.
Come on.
So for me, it was certainly not a step back. And you're right, I was doing other shit.
Yeah.
I hadn't dropped a record in the better part of a decade. I was focused
because you was in your element with the Red Bull stuff. And
absolutely,
not a bad gig.
Not at all, bro. My life is great.
Exactly.
Thanks to that, okay?
That's what I meant.
And I'm traveling the world. I'm contributing to a culture that I love. I'm uplifting a group of people that I love, which is the dancers of the world. And rap has always been in my heart. But I did get to a point where I was like, man, maybe I just love this shit. I'll always be the uncle that could go crazy at the cypher.
Exactly.
You know, but I had a little baby rap career with, you know, at the biggest, I maybe had like 50,000 monthly listeners because one song went crazy. Yeah. But I had my little 10,000 Instagram followers. Like, I wasn't going stupid. Yeah. But I was enough for the homies to be like, okay, you for real about this. But
it's not just a hobby for you.
Right. Yeah. But it never really went anywhere past that. Got it. And everybody always knew, like, TAJ'S is an MC. Yeah. But he gets it however he got to get it. So he's over here doing the film stuff. He's doing whatever he's got to do to get it, especially the legal way, right? And so when Rhythm and Flow comes around, you're right. There did feel like, the only thing that felt like a regression was I felt like I needed to get back in my bag. Yeah. And then when I got on the show, it's like I used Rhythm and Flow wholeheartedly. Yeah. Rhythm and Flow was using me, right? I'm an asset to their program. Exactly. Rhythm and Flow about to be an asset to my program.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
The same reason I'm coming on this show to talk to you right now is to reach a new audience and have a new audience learn about who I am and also bring my audience here. Absolutely. I treat a Rhythm and Flow the same way. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to use this as a tactic to show myself to the world. You know, there's one thing about me on that show. Did you ever hear me talk about $250,000? No, not at all. I never did once. Not once. Right, because if I want to touch it, I'll touch it.
But I think that was the way, like, I kind of separated you from the other contestants. Right. So when I seen how your demeanor was, it was like, in a way, the people that was watching that was like, Jay don't need this. Facts. That's the way I seen it.
Right. I actually got the thing I needed. Yeah. Which is this opportunity.
The exposure.
To have this conversation. Yes. Right. So now when I get to talk to people, they look at me as an MC. Yeah. That's what I needed in my life.
That's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted in my life. Absolutely. Because I could be like, I could tell you I'm an MC. Greatest example. Yeah. Since the show, went to the TDE Christmas in Nickerson Gardens.
Seen that.
Right. I'm over here thinking I'm going to use this opportunity. I get invited out there on some other shit. Like, I'm not even invited out there as an MC. Yeah. I'm invited out there on behalf of a brand that is supporting. So they're like, Jay, you want to roll with us? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, why not?
So me and my manager, we go out there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm about to introduce myself to everybody. Yeah. I didn't introduce myself to nobody, Cisco. I go in there, and everyone's like, yo, Jay TAJ'S, I fuck with you. And my mind is blown. Yeah. And everybody's speaking to me like an MC. Can you imagine what it's been like for the last 10 years.
Yeah, come on,
in my career where I'm in these rooms.
That, Jay.
I'm in
come
these
on.
rooms.
Yeah.
I'm in these rooms with all my favorite artists, but I'm in there as a director, as a film producer.
Yeah. Not what you want. I mean,
right.
As
I'm
the
okay
MC.
with it.
Yeah.
But I'm an MC.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how, bro, Cal Matic just DM'd me.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite directors.
Wow.
He DM'd me. He's like, bro, how the fuck I didn't know you was an MC?
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's like almost solidified it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm also the type of fool that's been in the room so long that I'm not about to be like, I'm an MC.
Yeah,
also.
exactly,
Just so
exactly.
you know, I know I'm here to do your commercial, but also
You're
I
saying
rap.
it while saying it.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't say shit. I
Yeah.
don't tell you I'm an MC, and if you find out your way, then that benefits me.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then I'll be okay. You
Come
didn't
on.
know who the fuck I was before. And so now I went on Rhythm and Flow so that people would, even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah.
TAJ'S is an MC, and there's no denying that.
Yeah.
And I went on there and I played by the rules, and I did the challenges, and I did everything they asked
And we
me
got to
to
go
do.
back to that. Let's go back to that because you did play by the rules, but you played it a certain way. Because what I wanted to bring you on the podcast for is because when you entered this realm of going on Rhythm and Flow, the underlying thing that was there that you kind of took on an identity of a culture. And when I say that, I take that as a Polynesian culture.
Right.
Because now you was ours.
Right.
Once we seen, whether you were Samoan, Tongan, Hawaiian, Chamorro, whatever you was, Polynesian-wise, as soon as they seen you say oos, as soon as they, whatever you said, you was already ours.
Come on.
So when you have that in the mainstream light, now the pressure, the pressure's on you to kind of say, now you're holding the village. To kind of say, you can't fuck up.
Right.
Because as soon as you fuck up or say something wrong in your raps, you can't live that
or
down.
even the way I walk and talk.
Yeah.
Right. Fuck my raps.
And
if
you
I
had
do
to
some
stay
dumb
consistent.
shit. Right. Come on.
So I knew you before the Rhythm and Flow when I had met you at the Island City for Booyah. Like, I knew what your demeanor was. So when I watched you on the show, I was like, no, that's how he is.
Man, that's love. Thank you.
When I said that, because people was like, cats who never knew who you were would call, hey, who's this cat on Rhythm and Flow?
Come on.
And I said, it's crazy y'all said that. I know this Oos. I said, that's how he is.
Right.
And I was talking to Cobra and I said, I'm kind of glad he's going to come on the podcast because I wanted people to kind of see it come out of your mouth to their ears and for them to watch it.
Right.
Because you didn't really get a chance to kind of explain that avenue of it on Rhythm and Flow. But I wanted to give you this opportunity to kind of say, how did it feel to kind of take on you as the poly representative for this thing? So take us back to that.
I mean, if there was one thing that I did 100% by intention, it was that.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing about the way that I represented was accidental.
Yeah.
Right. Shout out to my Usos from Ainga brand. Those are my dogs since I was in elementary school.
Man, I ain't gonna bring owe you a lot because I was about to say I ain't gonna bring all over this cat right now.
Come on,
because it was the product
got it on me
placement.
right now.
Like everyone was asking me, hey, what's that brand? Like exposure wise.
Right.
Hey sis, what's that thing? Because I know you in the thing. What's he wearing? I said, well, that's Ainga brand.
Right.
And for you to kind of bring it to the forefront, you had people that weren't even Polynesian saying, oh, I want to rock with that.
I want that. Right. Yeah. And so yes, that Cisco, wholeheartedly, every part of that was intentional. And there's something that I learned at Red Bull, right? And I might get in trouble for saying this, but Red Bull will not sign an athlete if they don't get exclusivity over their hats.
Got it.
You'll never see a Red Bull athlete that isn't wearing a Red Bull hat.
Yeah.
And there's a design behind that from a business standpoint. Is that if I'm holding this product right here, this camera can crop this product out.
Got it. Yeah.
Or
blur it out.
What person in their right mind would crop out the top of somebody's head in media? They won't do that.
Yeah.
So I knew that this was a communication tool.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that my shirts, my tattoos,
Silently.
my lyrics.
Yeah.
These are things that the show can't take out.
Strategically.
Because I promise you, I talked about being a Polynesian, Micronesian a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't hear me talk about it once on the edit, right? But
Absolutely.
I understood that. Same way I knew they was going to build me from LA.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. And that's no shade to Rhythm and Flow
No,
and
absolutely.
Netflix. Y'all
This
got
is
a product.
what they do. Yeah.
They got a product they got to push, right? And they did an amazing job with it. But when it comes to communicating the culture as I see it, and it's very specifically like, bro, I'm from Southern California.
Yeah.
So my understanding of a Chamorro or a Samoan or a Tongan is very different from like someone in Samoa or someone in Guam, right?
Because
or even in the Bay.
It's a Cali vision. Because same thing with me.
Come on.
Because I'm a Cali kid.
Right.
So what my perception is of the culture is different than someone that's raised in the islands.
Right.
So that's why we have to be real careful once we have this,
platform, if you will. Yeah.
Platform, because now we have to carry it in a certain way, but we're carrying it the Cali way.
Come on.
And we're carrying it the main state or whatever, the mainland way.
Right.
For you, it was a little bit different because I was like, man, every time I watched you, every episode, I was like, if he slips up once, it could be the end of his career.
Come on.
Polynesian side.
Come on.
Because I'm just looking at it as a Polynesian
they waiting
kid.
for us.
And they waiting for you to fuck up.
And they waiting for me to fuck up. You know,
and I
real.
was getting calls,
right?
Even when they didn't finish, oh, he gonna fuck up. Like there was bets. They gonna take the over under. Hey, that kid gonna fuck up. And I was like, nah. I said he's like that.
Yeah, I appreciate.
And that's why when you stayed consistent on it, and like you said, you did it strategic. Whether it was from the Ainga brand, whether it was from your hat, they couldn't do nothing about that because that was just something that you wore.
That part.
So like when you strategically was doing that, did you know that every episode was getting harder and harder, or how did you take it?
I mean, because I was lucky enough to see season 1.
Yeah.
So I knew it was gonna get tough.
Because it might have been hard if you didn't see season 1.
Oh, way harder. I mean, me and D Smoke have talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, he had no idea what to prepare for. And even though, you know, you still getting challenges on the fly, they switched up some challenges on us and they took some challenges away. At the very least, I understood the ethos of the competition, right?
Got it.
And I knew there was going to be things like, you got to be ready for a battle.
Yeah.
You got
at all times.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you got to be ready to collaborate with a producer. You got to write a record on the spot. I knew these things were coming.
Yeah.
So that part of it didn't take me by surprise.
Nice.
But I will say that, like, there was certainly, from a timing standpoint, I didn't realize we was only gonna have one day to do all of this shit. Like, every week it was like, oh yeah, here's a challenge.
Yeah.
You performing tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, what the fuck
You're
are
like,
you
tomorrow.
talking about? Yeah, thank God I have been doing this for so long. And I also came up in the era where, like, playing shows was the only way to get some love.
And you was quick to go quick with it if you had to do it on the spot.
Easy call.
Yeah.
Easy. But I also come from bro, I'm raised by rappers.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, bro, if you can't hop in a cypher right now, are you really an MC?
Yeah.
Right? So because that's already drilled in my brain,
Yeah.
even if I hop in a cypher and say some bullshit, I'm not going to not hop in a cypher.
Exactly.
Right? And so that kind of puts you in a position to stay on your toes.
Yeah.
You know, freestyle culture is a thing that's dying.
Yeah.
And not to say that I was freestyling off the top, but it's the energy behind that.
Oh, absolutely.
That puts you in a position in a challenge like this to get over the fact it's like, fuck, I don't know what to say.
But let's not get over the fact, when you have to freestyle, a lot of motherfuckers don't have Eminem standing right there,
Come on.
So, like, I looked at it as like, you're doing something that like a dream to like people that the MCs, because when I looked at, I was nervous when Eminem was standing there.
My heart was beating out my chest.
And when you came to it, you kind of took it and ran with it. Like, I seen a lot of the other contestants and they kind of did their thing. They was fumbling, but it was something that there's something like about a perfectionist about you that you have to make sure that your cadence is on point, whether Eminem's there or the crowd is there.
Right.
What was something that when you have like someone like an Eminem standing there, what would your thought process say? I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I gotta do a little bit better.
Well, I mean, I know disrespect to him, but the first thing that goes through my mind is, who the fuck is Eminem? Right? And so, like, and that's no disrespect to him and what he's done, but like, real shit.
Absolutely.
Right? If we walk outside this place right now and it's time to get off,
come on,
we got to jump off. It don't fucking matter who it is, right?
Yeah.
And so
that mindset's crazy.
Yeah. And so in retrospect, it's like, man, thank God.
Yeah.
But that just comes from letting the nerves get the better part of me in life. And
which you got a lot of contestants. It got a lot of contestants.
Yeah, but I've been
nerves
there.
Got
I've been there. The nerves have got me. And also, you know, fight or flight is a real thing. And I also, you know, I come up from an era where like throwing hands after school was a real thing. And I remember one of the first fights I got in. Shout out Julio Torres from Santa Ana, the homie, man.
He said he remembered his first fight.
No, man, first fight. I was probably in like the 4th grade, bro. And I remember I'm ready until it's time to go, and then suddenly frozen.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm like, Ma, I gotta learn how to fight, bro. You gotta put me in some boxing or some crazy shit. And she did. She signed me up for the, you know, the typical taekwondos of the world, right?
Come on, the karate classes.
But the thing that I learned the most was there's something called the adrenal cascade.
Yeah.
And you have 90 seconds to choose fight or flight. Right. So if I'm about to, I've been in situations in my adulthood where I could see it starting to get static. The last thing I want to do is fight somebody.
Yeah.
But if it's getting static, what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
Fight.
But you're already
or
getting
flight.
yourself out of there mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I can't get out, then I have to make a choice in my mind.
Yeah.
So here I am on this show, and you have 90 seconds to decide fight or flight. In the context of rapping, fighting is I'm gonna go up there and perform like it's nobody in the room.
Yeah.
Like I'm rapping in front of the mirror.
Man.
Flight is I'm gonna perform like Eminem's watching me.
Yeah.
And I'm about to stumble over my shit.
Yep.
You know?
And you put those two together.
I choose fight.
Yeah.
Every time. Right? And what's the worst that could fucking happen, man? I do a great fucking job and I get sent home. What's the worst that could happen? All I give a fuck about is doing a great job.
Yeah.
And it's real life experiences like getting my ass whooped in the 4th grade because I chose flight.
Yeah.
And now here I am curled up in a ball, and you know, in the schoolyard getting my ass beat.
Yeah. Just taking them. Yeah.
Right, because I chose flight.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was an actual physical element happening going on. There was this real physical reaction happening where your adrenaline is building up, and after 90 seconds it goes,
come on.
And whatever you chose in them 90 seconds is what the fuck you about to do.
Exactly.
So when I'm about to go on stage, whether it's the Eminem shit or I would say I was most nervous doing the Eminem joint, and I would say it's a toss-up between the Lucky Day joint and the finale.
Man, hold on. Don't skip over that Lucky Day joint real quick. When I was watching the episode, that song was my shit. Lucky Day, that's my, and I felt like you got like the best one out of the collaborations.
I got a cheat code. I don't know why they did that.
When you did that, I said, man, my brother can't lose.
Right.
Because
but
you got the lucky day.
Bro. But I so could. I could go up there
because
and
you could have easily
that.
fucked that up.
Come on.
Because when I seen you got collaborated with Lucky Day and you guys did your thing, I was sitting there, I was like, once you did you guys' thing, to me, nobody could follow that up.
No.
That was just my personal
But Jazz
opinion.
did. Jazz went
crazy. Because everyone stepped up their game because I felt like you made them step up their game.
Maybe.
And the reason I say that is because when you look at Lotto, you look at DJ Khaled and Luda, what they were saying, every time they went to you, they was like, oh, you seasoned. They expected you to do that. So it would not put you in a place where us as an audience was like, oh, wait, well, Jay can't fuck up.
Right.
Because we were already in the mindset that the judges already put us in.
Right.
Even when they had guest judges, like even Busta and everybody I was talking about, they was like, oh, yeah, no, he's polished.
Right.
So I didn't know if that was going to help or hurt you.
Yeah.
Into an aspect of where it's like, okay, you got all these other dudes, but as soon as Jay does fuck up, you're like, oh, well, then he fucked up. Now you got to get out.
I guess he's got a chink in his armor. Yeah.
Because that Lucky Day one, how did you feel when you got you knew it was a cheat code?
I knew it, man. I mean, like, no disrespect to the other artists, but there was a significantly different impact on the culture that over record had twice, right?
That vibe.
The Lucky Day version and the Music Soul Child version,
man.
Right? And so when they said that, you could kind of see it on my face in the show. I'm like, who the fuck else? Like, who the fuck else is coming through these text messages right now? If I'm getting Lucky Day, like,
because once you got Lucky Day, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna get some other ones that were huge.
Right.
I mean, nothing was as big for me that was bigger than Lucky Day except Jazz's one.
Right.
But I was like,
but even Jazz's record, like Honey Baby, I think her name.
Yeah.
She cold. But like
I didn't even know who Honey Baby was.
Neither did
no
I.
Disrespect, Honey Baby.
She's super cold. Like I've actually peeped her. She got crazy vocals.
But it goes back to exposure.
Right.
Like it brought the Honey Babies and everyone that people that didn't know, like from everyone that was a contestant, everybody that was a part of it, brought exposure that was crazy.
Bro, even Lucky Day felt that way. When I was chopping with him after the set, I'm like, man, thank you. Thank you so much, bro. He's like, thank you, bro. I'm on Netflix right now. I ain't never been on Netflix. And then I'm like,
straight up.
Damn, this motherfucker never been on Netflix.
That's crazy.
We are both having a moment right now, right? But yes, I certainly knew, and shout out to whatever A&R chose Lucky Day for me, or however that worked, because I got no fucking clue.
Man, there had to be a poly in the control. It was like, oh, go give Jay Lucky Day.
Right.
Yeah, because once you got there, I was like, oh, they cheating. Right. I said, they cheating.
They also know who Lucky Day's audience is.
Exactly.
Right? They know he getting hella spins in the island community. Hella him and Blast.
Yeah. But take us to the collaboration with the producer. Like, when you went to from that part of it, was it something hard for you to kind of work with a producer you never worked with?
Hard,
or that was something
hard is like hard is maybe not the right way to describe
Got it.
I think maybe foreign is probably the better way, but I've said this many times in interviews of recent past, like our people go to foreign places.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck we do.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been doing that since the beginning of time.
And the adaptability is crazy.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. So since the beginning of time, Polynesian, Micronesian, Melanesian people have been getting in canoes and going into the unknown.
And adapting to wherever they land.
Figure it out. And so I treated that situation the same. Y'all got like a little 4-minute snippet
like a glimpse
of an 8-hour session.
Wow.
It was a beautiful session, bro. Like Street Runner is a dog.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly malleable. He's incredibly understanding.
Yeah.
He for real met me halfway.
Yeah.
In the show, it kind of made it seem like there was friction.
Yeah.
There wasn't really.
That was the drama they wanted to stir up.
Like we certainly had a moment where it was like, okay, we're going in the wrong direction. That was my point of view. He wanted to take it to his world, which is anthemic. You know what I'm saying? He's big. He did God did.
Yeah, come on, man.
Come on, that shit's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's on Fat Joe's new record. Yeah. He's done Jay-Z records. Like these are big anthemic horns, crazy drums.
Big anthems.
I'm like down low. I'm from the West.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I knew I wanted to, this is supposed to be my debut single. So I'm taking that challenge as like, okay, I'm an independent artist. I have to actually make this record the way I would make my debut single record. I think about artists all the time that don't make club bangers as their first record. Isaiah Rashad, Kendrick Lamar, Swimming Pools.
Come on.
Swimming Pools is not a club banger.
At all.
Come on. So it's like, I treated it with the same respect, and he really treated it with that respect as well. And I should say that on the record, like Street Runner for real met me halfway. And I pray I get an opportunity to get in the studio with him again.
But I'm glad you said that because about being from the West. What I also noticed on the show was that you being from the West and the other contestants, there's a couple of them that were from the West, you guys had to adapt on another way where you guys were doing a lot of East Coast things. And when I kind of seen your way of adaptability was like, oh no, Jay's gonna get through that. Some of the other artists, they really couldn't adapt how you did and how you kind of opened that up. So when we kind of go back to when we said we have the culture on your shoulders, we have these other artists that are kind of a part of it. We always go back to this. I always say, like you just said, it's a Netflix thing. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit bigger than what people are already anticipating what it's going to be. They had one season for it.
Right.
What was your kind of like thoughts on how Lotto, Khaled, and Luda accepted you and what advice they gave to you? I felt like they was getting lighter and lighter with their advice toward you towards the end. Yeah. Like, did you feel like they wasn't trying to not help you, or what was their advice trying to go towards you?
Honestly, I don't remember a single piece of advice the whole show. I do remember the thing I addressed, which was when Luda said what he said, and he was like, "I'm teetering."
Yeah.
Right. But I wouldn't exactly call that advice. The whole show, it was really just like, yo, we fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I actually felt a little insecure about that. Yeah. Like, even in the cypher rounds, like they judged everybody in a row and they skipped over me. And then I'm like,
I seen that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because I don't know if that was like just, I mean, I felt like the judges knew that they really couldn't have to tell you much.
Right.
And I know that, I mean, we're going to go to the finale, but I think even with the finale, when they did announce the winner, to me, I looked at the faces of Luda, Lotto, and Khaled, and it was something that they didn't agree on. That was just my personal thought on it. Because I felt that Dre TL needed to win and you didn't need to win. And I felt like that was because I felt like the judge was like, Jay is going to blow up regardless of this show. Right. Dre might need this show to do it. What was your thought process in the
I have to disagree.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason for that is if that's the case, then D-Smoke wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, D-Smoke didn't need it.
Yeah.
Right? He really didn't need it.
Yeah.
That's Sir's older brother, bro. Like, he really didn't
need it. He didn't need
it
at all. So were you expecting to win this thing?
I for sure was.
Yeah.
Right. But Dre speaks to an audience that is just as valuable as mine.
Yeah.
Right? And to look at Dre TL and be like, you know, not to say that you're implying this, but there's a lot of people on the internet that are like, he didn't deserve to win that over Jay.
Absolutely, I was one of them. I'm not gonna lie to you, Jay.
And
I was one of them.
So am I.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, I think I deserve to win over everybody in that competition, but we're subjecting our art to judgment.
Yeah.
And we have to respect the fact that judgment is in the hands of the judge.
Come on.
Right. This isn't a situation of basketball and football where there's measurable outcomes. There's not feet in a yard and inches in a foot to determine the first down. Like, this is a subjective concept.
Yeah.
And sure, like, you're in an Atlanta crowd.
Come on.
2 Atlanta judges.
Tell them.
That's not to say that he didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Bro, if I'm in the West, it probably would have been the same situation. And I got Snoop and, you know, I don't know, Dre. You know, right? They up there, of course, right? You're gonna go with home. Yeah. Okay. But that's still considering the fact that Dre is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There was also so much that happened that's not on the show.
That we didn't
we're
see.
getting funny mixes out the performances. It's like Dre does not be offbeat, like on some, like the way the comment section, like he can't stay on me, like y'all tripping. Like, listen to my record Can't Lose on my album.
You know what? I just
Dre
listened to that.
Spitting, bro.
I listened to Can't Lose coming in here today. We're setting up for the podcast. And I was like, that Dre sounded different than the Dre that was portrayed on the show.
No, facts.
Because I was like, wait, that's Dre?
Facts.
And, you know, me as a music lover, I'm a DJ as well. So when I heard it, I was like, dude, they not played Dre, but they made Dre to be this offbeat.
But also, too, Dre was being put in a super unnatural environment.
Yeah.
Dre's 22 years old on the show.
Yeah.
And so I have a decade of experience ahead of him in dealing with long nights and fucking having to cram in a lot of information, working.
You was the vet on the show.
Dre's been through a gang of shit in life, right?
Yeah.
A gang of
shit.
Probably more than most motherfuckers in an 80-year life.
With his mom being in jail and all that too.
And just everything that comes with the typical song and dance of being from the hood. Dre been through that.
Yeah.
So while he is super resilient and he has a crazy mental fortitude, he's still his art is being put in a crazy environment, right? And so all of us was being put in that. So yes, I agree. I am more polished.
Yeah.
I was more consistent on the show. I showed a decade more of experience. But no one said that's what the show was about.
Yeah.
Right? I take it on the chin. I told y'all what I went there to do.
Yeah.
And that was to be able to put my art in front of an audience. So really, the win to me, it was accomplished the day they said I'm going to the finale.
Yeah.
I won, baby.
Yeah.
Right? And I said a quarter ticket would be amazing.
Come on.
Right? But I could
We would just talk about that. Like, when you don't talk about the quarter ticket,
right?
I was like, Jay ain't that rich to not think about this 250 that was coming out there. Because when that came by, I was like, man, imagine this with that 250
Come
though.
on, no, that shit would be nice. That shit would be nice. But if y'all think I can't touch a quarter ticket, I can.
Well, especially now.
Especially now. And I'm telling you, if I wanted to do it the dirty way a year ago,
come on, man.
Come on, that's $2.5. We could do that. Come on. And that, all of my Atlanta homies know. You want some Bubba OG, we get it to you. You know what I'm saying?
But take us, like, you talk about, like, we're talking about comments. These comment sections was going crazy, bro. Like, when I was looking at the comment sections where it was either the shows thing where this social, I say that to say because the social media aspect of this competition kind of hit off and ran with it.
Yeah, it did.
Because everyone, you look on social media, Instagram, everybody got an opinion. Whether it's a TikTok clip of you over Dre Tail, everyone was going to talk their shit because they could.
That part.
Was that something that when you was in the competition that you try to stay away from looking at during the competition?
Well, I mean, the show is filmed before it's released.
Got it.
So I don't have to deal with that. But I did keep social media and the way that social media behaves in mind every time I open my mouth or every time I did something. I recognize, like, they could do anything they want with this.
I got to be real careful how I move right now. Yeah.
And you talked about it when it comes to even, like, saying things like, I'm not finna say Usos on the record without saying Tocos.
Yeah,
right. And
absolutely.
So there's a nuance to that only we understand.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so also too, like, being sensitive to the way I'm perceived. Like, I call myself Westside J. I get in a picture with Cobra and B-Boy and Gotti.
Now it's Westside Pyru J.
Yeah, right. I'm from Westside Santa Ana. Right.
Come on.
That's a very specific area. I'm not no gangbanger.
But it's the perception.
Right.
Of it.
And I have to be conscious of that because people will take what they see and they won't unsee it. And that's what they're gonna believe, and that's
what they're gonna comment on,
right?
Because that's when you see all these things where, like, even after the show, when the finale had aired, it opened up the box for your exposure to go crazy. I mean, I was talking to Cobra, I was hitting Gotti. I'm like, man, the Uso did good, and I kind of sat back. I was like, ooh, Jay about to go through a whole bunch of shit right now. So you hit the ground running.
I already knew.
You was going to New York. You was going to Atlanta for the premieres and all that. That alone, I think, for the 250 was already worth it for that.
Easy call.
Yeah.
Easy call. I mean, there's nothing that 250,000 could do for me that being on the show didn't already do.
Man.
That's just kind of like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And if I can't have a conversation with a label and get 250 out of it, then what the fuck am I doing here? You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And so the reality is that, like, you have to be cognizant of how you behave from the jump.
Yeah.
And like you said, I hit the ground running, and that's the benefit of being the oldest motherfucker on the show. Right? It's like just life experience.
Because you were able to hit the ground running.
That part.
Yeah. Because if you're younger,
not even after the show.
Wait.
I got to Atlanta to film the show and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Bro, I got off the fucking plane, and I'm the only motherfucker with 9 suitcases. Everybody getting off the plane, they got their one check bag, and they're like, this motherfucker, he really think he about to win. And I'm like, they said pack for X amount of weeks. Bro, one jacket takes up a whole suitcase.
Exactly,
what you talking about? And you know I'm about to dress myself.
Yes,
You know, shout out to Parker Scott and Monique for being incredible stylists. But you can ask them.
Yeah.
Them Dickie suits came from my closet.
I was about to
where
say,
I'm coming from?
Take us back to the stylist part of it, because every outfit you had was talked about on social media. Like, you was cold with it.
Come on.
You was cold with it. And then I got to talk about the performance. You had to take your hat off. Because I know, as a dude that always wears a hat, it was not an easy call for you to say, hold up, you don't want me to wear a hat?
No, it wasn't that. I said I'm not wearing no hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and because Monique, you know, Monique Lauren and Parker Scott, they were the stylists on it, and incredibly talented costume designers and stylists, right? Like, when I told, I got Lucky Day, immediately I'm like, oh, Lucky Day knows how to throw a fit.
Yeah.
So I'm not finna go out there in a Dickie suit this time. So I tell Monique, like, I think I want to wear a suit, right? And there was a very specific suit that I wanted to wear that was a nod to another Los Angeles icon that I owe a lot of my creativity to, what he's given us in the culture, which is Dot at the Super Bowl. And some people caught it, and I seen it on Reddit, and people were like, oh, he trying to be this, trying to be that. I was like, no, literally, it's a nod. Right? And it's like, I'm not here without you.
Homage,
Real shit. I'm not here without you, and I'm not here without the West, and there's multiple ways to do that. So I'm not about to, look, I have two choices here when I put on a suit. I could put on a suit and be that guy who goes out with a fucking snapback on.
Come on,
with a suit
I was like, what color I ain't gonna wear on this suit? That's what I was thinking. I was like,
That's
ooh,
hilarious.
he about to wear a cold hat.
Come on. And so, or I could, of course, like, bro, I used to have long crop like everybody else. My hair was down to here.
So that's when the bald head came out. I said, ooh, Jay done went with it,
and
huh?
I ain't now never show my bald head, bro. And I got a beautiful bald head, but
thank God he got it, because I was saying he went on there with bows on his head. They was gonna be like, oh man, put a beanie on. They was gonna eat your ass alive. Because I was sitting there like, oh, don't have no bows on his head.
Come on, thank God. And also too, shout out to my cousin Alec who did the back of my head, because I'm like, well, here's an opportunity to really show, this beautiful art that I have on my neck and my head. And so I told Monique, I was like, I'm not wearing a hat.
Yeah.
She was like, shut up. I was praying you was gonna say that.
Wow.
So we
As
made
a stylist
right.
perspective,
I was praying you was gonna say that. And so I said, fuck it. I'd rather get made fun of because I got a shiny bald head than get made fun of because I was too scared, because I'm hatfishing everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Not the hatfish. People don't think I was like, I got hair under here. It's
That's
just
hilarious.
the hatfish.
Not me, boy.
But everything I said was strategic. So like, everyone's starting like frames. He just finished the season, right? So people are playing catch up. Some people caught it when it was just fresh.
Yeah.
As it's going along now, when you're kind of catching people 3 episodes in, they don't know what the outcome is. Like, do you find yourself answering questions and then, man, I can't wait for the next one because they're late to the party, or you kind of already know?
I mean, I kind of just smile and receive it. You kind of find out in the first few seconds when you meet somebody where they at in the show. Because some people, I was at my celebration in Santa Ana, bro. At my own celebration in Santa Ana. And people are like, I hope you win. Yeah. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, you didn't watch the show.
You definitely didn't watch the fucking show. You know what I'm saying?
But tell us about that, because I seen you had a homecoming celebration in your hometown at the Yost?
At the Yost, the legendary Yost.
And the legendary, because I was trying to make it out to that, but I was like, that was something that I wanted to go, like, give you your flowers.
I appreciate it.
But seeing the hometown come, you had Big Boy there. Like, tell us about that whole thing. Like, what was the thought process of even doing that?
Well, I mean, look, I knew I wanted to throw a party.
Yeah.
Originally, it was just supposed to be a party at the crib.
Yeah.
And then 250,000 people made me be like, oh, I'm not doing this at the crib.
Yeah.
Right. And so then we talked to a couple venues in LA because, of course, you do these moments. And part of it is we want the movers and the shakers to pop out. The media, we want the radio DJs to pop out. We want the other MCs to pop out. And so I went and looked at a lot of venues in LA, and the deals were cool and shit, and then I just couldn't get it out of my head. Like, man, maybe you should do this shit at home. Yeah. So I called the homie Tyson, who books at the Yost. Yeah. I'm like, how much would it cost me to do this? And he's like, well, I mean, you could do it and make this much at the door. I was like, no, I want it to be free. Yeah. Like, everybody gets in for free. And he was like, well, shit, it'll be XYZ. Why you want to do it down here? And I'm like, man, what would Nipsey do?
What better way? Yeah.
What would Nipsey do? If Nipsey got off of fucking Rhythm and Flow, will you think he'd do that shit in fucking, mid-city?
He would have did it right on Crenshaw.
Come on, dog. Right, he would have shut down the intersection.
Absolutely.
And so while I don't have that type of weight to be shutting intersections down, the next best thing is to make sure I go at home. And then me and my manager, we went back and forth on, yo, man, nobody from LA is gonna pop out. Yeah. Like, the DJs we want to come out, the radio personalities, the MCs, they're not gonna come out. Yeah. They're not gonna go all the way to Santa Ana. It's only a 30-mile drive. Y'all dramatic. That ain't shit. We've been doing that shit our whole lives. Yeah. But whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Respectfully, if they don't, then they really fuck with me.
It's like, fuck them.
Maybe not in those terms, but same energy. Yeah. So for them, and there was some folks who wanted to pop out, but they just couldn't. Yeah. And they hit me in the text like, yo, man, I'm so sorry, bro. I love you, dog. I'm so proud of you. Right. And there was a lot of the homies I met at the TDE Christmas that was like, man, I would, bro, but I did it on December 21st. Man. Like literally, folks is traveling. People got people in from out of town.
I RSVP'd for it just to let you know. My name's on the RSVP list, but I was like, just let them know.
I was like, damn, where the fuck's Cisco at? Nah, but for Big Boy to put, honestly, I didn't even think Big Boy was coming, man, till that, because he was on vacation with his wife. Yeah. And his son, and then he came home the day before, and he's like, yo, I'm not gonna be able to come out. I got my son's basketball game. So I was like, man, it's nothing, bro. Yeah. And then that day he texted me, he's like, what time I gotta be there? Yeah. I'm like, what? And then of course, D Smoke, that's the bro, and Davion, and then all the homies from Rhythm and Flow, Dre TL, Rome.
That was crazy when I seen all them come out.
Rome, who I battle, popped out, and he had to answer a lot of questions about the
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the Santa Ana slander, you know what I'm saying?
Because he's in Santa Ana. They're like, hold up, what was you saying
Right.
about
And
that
you know what's
Santa?
funny, man? Let me tell you this funny ass shit he said. When I told him, I was like, yo, I'm doing this thing. I don't know, because he live in Chicago, but his folks are still in LA.
Yeah.
So he come out for the holidays. I'm like, I don't know if you're going to be in the city. I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
He was like, hell yeah. Funny as fuck. He said, I'm already going to be at Disneyland.
You're like, hold up, what?
You know how he hit me with the 5 miles up the street from Disneyland? Right, but the Usos had something that the Usos was on his ass there.
I knew,
it was
all
love,
and all
it was all love
and
and respect, but like all my Aingo Usos, they all from Santa Ana.
Yeah.
Even some of the homies from Anaheim was like, yo, I gotta ask you, what you mean by that?
Yeah, exactly. And that was good, because it was good to kind of have somebody from the West though with you out there, because it's kind of like almost like prison. You got to stick to it with your peoples.
Yeah, Rome, Tia P.
Yeah,
you know, it was super love, and then also like there was some people who got eliminated early on, like Milena. She cold with it. She cold with it.
Yeah,
you know, she got that like Chicano thing on lock.
Yeah,
you know, she be at the lowrider shows going crazy.
She was cool too. I was like, okay, mommy, I seen her doing her thing, but I was like, oh, she probably not gonna make it to the next level, but she did her thing for that episode though.
Yeah, I mean, look, she didn't fuck up.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
You know, they just wasn't. It wasn't their taste.
Yeah,
you know, and I actually I must say, like, from a regional standpoint, there wasn't a lot of discussions about, oh, I'm from the West, I'm from Philly, I'm from here. Because really everybody was, this is going to sound so corny, but everybody was from hip hop.
Yeah.
Like there real shit,
Come on. Yeah.
Like,
that's dope.
My most favorite part of this experience was, when the fuck else will I, as an MC, get the opportunity to be with 60 other MCs? Yeah. Like, that's crazy, bro. It was like summer camp for rappers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It was like a competition because you guys knew you had to bring your best shit to the table.
But I'm surrounded by MCs, Cisco. Like, I don't get that. I don't get. Anytime I got to talk about hip hop, it's with hip hop lovers.
Yeah.
I don't really
not
get to
actually hip hop
creators.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, when I talk about verses, I got my uncles, you know, and I could talk to them about it all day, but I don't just be around for 6 weeks at a time, a bunch of other MCs. So when I'm talking about things from the perspective of a rap creator, you don't get that opportunity. Yeah. So that's probably my favorite. It's
like iron sharpening iron.
Come on, and I made homies that'll be my homeboys forever. Yeah. Tony the Kid, Cody Ray, Boone Duke.
Yeah, and that was dope about it. Because I seen, like, even when you did lose to Dre, it was like, nah, Dre's my little brother.
Yeah, that's
like
my bro.
You made it a point, because, you know, there were some people that lost and, you know, they took it the sore loser route, but we won't even go there. But when you lost, you kind of took it on the chin. It was like, nah, Dre's my little brother.
Right.
Like, there's ways to lose, there's ways not to lose.
Come on.
Some people, they showed a little bit of all that. But when you kind of did it, you kind of said, nah, Dre, there's stuff. I could tell through your compassion for Dre winning it was showing people like, yeah, you didn't see everything that we did.
Straight up. And also, too, I know Dre's life.
Yeah.
How the fuck, what kind of piece of shit would I be if me, who grew up with both my folks in prison, right?
To belittle that.
To be mad that he's going home with a quarter ticket. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, what type of self-love do I really have if I'm mad that he went home with a quarter ticket?
Come on, man.
Like, I see myself in Dre in many ways. And in many ways, I see someone who is significantly more of a man than me. Yeah. The shit that he been through, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, dude, what kind of fucking dog piece of shit would I be mad that Dre came up? We all came here for the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? I might have my feelings about the judges.
Yeah.
I got my feelings about some of the feedback they did or didn't give when they should have.
When they could have.
Dre came here to get a quarter ticket.
Yeah.
I'm going to be mad that he came here to do the same thing that I came here to do. If anybody on that show would have won, it's not just Dre. If any, Detroit Diamond, if Surah Ali, Jazz, all the other artists that I loved on that show.
Dope artists too.
Come on.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be there if they not.
Yeah.
And y'all could say what you want, but dog, once upon a time, motherfuckers tried to say Sugar Free couldn't rap.
Yeah, come on, man.
Like,
Pomona's finest.
Come on.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers tried to say that the West Coast wasn't hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? So to sit there and look at Dre and say any MC that's on Rhythm and Flow and say the same shit.
Yeah.
The first death of hip hop was when you tried to say what was and wasn't hip hop. Yeah. Hip hop is whatever the fuck we say it is. And Dre's in more of a position to tell you what hip hop is than you tell him. Because he's a practitioner.
Yeah.
He does it. He creates it. He's not just a listener.
Yeah.
And so when someone like that goes home with a quarter ticket,
you can't feel.
I'm gonna be happy for this dude. Come on. And that's not like PR training.
Yeah.
That's basic fundamental survival shit. That's my people's.
Yeah.
Right? And so when my people's win, when the tide rises, so do the boats.
Come on.
Right?
Everybody
And so
do.
I got all the same exposure.
Yeah.
I got all the same experiences. I got to go through every single same stage as Dre. The only difference is a quarter ticket.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm not gonna be mad at him for touching a quarter ticket, bro. I'm gonna be touching 2.5
Come on,
mil
man.
by the end of the year.
Tell him, Jay.
Come
Tell
on.
him. So now that we're at the end of the Rhythm and Flow, right? Now we're talking about the exposure. Like, I personally went to your Instagram page and seen it go from here to there.
Yeah, 13K when the show dropped.
And where it's at now, where you kind of got to move, I won't say move a little different, but when you have that type of eyes on you now, with everybody on you, with the Rhythm and Flow thing, with the Instagram thing, you're moving a little bit different now.
Absolutely.
So as you're moving a little bit different now you got to take strategic steps to further your career and not just make this be a thing, oh, we're just on Rhythm and Flow.
Right.
What is going on in the next immediate future for Jay Taj to kind of take advantage of this situation and advantage of this opportunity?
Well, we're gonna be activating the Lil J demos heavy, as this year begins to roll out. But there is a lot more music coming with a really fucking unexpected and amazing collaborations.
I was about to say, collabs got to be crazy.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
and shit that our people are gonna appreciate a lot.
Come on, man.
Our people are gonna be like, he did what? With who? And he did it in a way that was so not what anyone ever expected, right? I'm talking like, God, I want to say so bad. But we're gonna
keep it on the wraps. Keep it on the wraps, Jay.
We're gonna talk off. But let's just, to all my favorite Polynesian singers that have reached out to me, thank you, because this shit is so amazing, bro. Like to have these folks that I've been singing in my car for the last 10 to 20 years in my DMs,
it's crazy.
Is crazy. And then the MCs and the producers and stuff, everybody that's tapped in and reached out to tell me what they feel and tell me that they fuck with me is amazing. I say all of that to say the next steps are to continue this in a way that like, if the intentionality and the strategy that you've seen that got me here means anything to you, just know that continues, right? The level of on-purposeness is not going away. And then on top of that, it's like, my goal this year is to, stick the flag in the ground so deep that you forget that I was on Rhythm and Flow.
Come on.
That's the idea.
That has to be the goal, in a sense, to kind of say, I don't want to be remembered just for Rhythm and Flow.
Come on.
I want to make my own mark.
That's right.
Yeah, you've seen me on Rhythm and Flow, but that's not what made me.
Right. No, in 5 years, I want people to be like, damn, he was on that fucking show.
I forgot he was on that.
Like, and he didn't win?
Yeah.
God damn.
You know what's crazy? I was talking to Frames. A lot of Polynesian artists that didn't hear of you at the time were hitting me because I was posting some of your stuff on my Instagram, and they was like, man, it'd be dope to do. But I'm talking about like artists that's been in the game, like we was talking about. And it's crazy to see it go full circle because at the time of when you're at your career, when there is no Rhythm and Flow, it's harder to communicate with those type of artists.
Come on, I've been backstage with the Common Kings and Jay Bug,
man.
and I've been backstage with everybody, and it's like, what I'm supposed to do, be like, hey, man, I'm a rapper from Santa Ana if you want to do a song with me.
But that gave it that, because I was talking to Common Kings too. I was like, dude, that's home for us,
right,
you know what I mean?
Shit.
So it's crazy to kind of say, we do these Holo Holo festivals. Right. We don't know if Jay Taj might pop out on us
Maybe.
and show something.
Come on.
But I just wanted to thank you for telling your story because I felt I was adamant about having you here because
I appreciate it.
I've seen you on a lot of media things, but I think for our people, this was something they needed to see and needed to hear.
And in that same breath, I feel like for my people, this new group of fans, if you will, this family of mine that's been developed over the last few weeks, it was important for me for them to come here and see that you said something throughout this interview a few times, and that is like on my back, which is not what I feel. I feel like I'm locking arms with you, and I'm locking arms with Bug, and I'm locking arms with all the Usos and the Tokos and the Cellos. I'm not holding shit. I'm continuously kicking doors down the same way J Bug has been doing it. Fiji's been doing it. Right? D-Boy been doing it. Booyah Tribe did it. Craig. Come on, like Young LB. Like the list is so
crazy.
long. Like people have been kicking doors down, and I'm just trying to kick doors down too. And as long as we moving through these doors together, then we're doing something significant.
See, I'm glad you said that because it has to be together.
Yeah.
And I can say this because I've been in the game for a long time. I don't care how active you are. I don't care whatever you guys will culture. I respectfully, that's what you guys do. I talk to a lot of artists that some don't work with each other, some don't because of what the street politics are. But when you talk to people like Stone Deuce was out here in Vegas, and I was telling him I'm gonna do the podcast with you. Stone Deuce was like, man, tell the Oos I gotta get on a song with him. And it don't matter what background of us. When they know a good thing, I think everybody kind of puts you in a light where it don't care what the street politics, whether you blood, Crip, wherever you from, hood-wise, you just good people.
Come on.
At the end of the day, because it is nothing against my brothers that are active. Look, if you're gonna be active, be active.
Right.
But I think if you got a good thing going, know to decipher in between the street and what's gonna further your career going forward.
Right.
So I think you are kind of a poster boy for that, because now that you have these little kids looking up to you, because we're talking about the culture, now I'm talking about the younger generation that are on the Netflix, on the iPads, on the phones. I seen this dude, because my son came and was like, hey, Dad, he's Samoan. I said, I know those right there. So I was telling my kids that you're also in the light where you're showing kids that you can do something like this. Not where it's pressure to you, but it's kind of say, okay, yeah, you got to watch everything you do, because now you're in that mainstream focus where it's like, man, Jay, I think it was dope for you to come here.
I appreciate it.
He came out of his way to come over here to come do this show.
Drove out here.
He drove out here and driving right back.
Come on.
But I told him, I said, I think this was needed, because in this new year that we're about to embark on, this being the first show of our new year is going to set the tone, not just for your following, but for our following to kind of say, man, let's get behind Jay, whatever he does. Whether they watch the show or not, because I try to bring a platform to everybody to kind of say, look, come tell your story. I don't want to tell your story. I want it to be from what Fiji's been on the show twice, Boog, everybody. Hear from your mouth to their ears and from their eyes to see. Because they hearing your story come from your mouth.
And I'm grateful for it. Man. And I'm grateful for, I mean, the amount of artists within our culture that I've learned about through your platform is endless. And so, the gratitude is at an all-time high. And I must say, to echo what you said about, you know, the nuances of hip-hop culture, especially as it pertains to those of us who come from the L.A., Santa Ana area, it's like, it is super nuanced, and I know the way I walk and talk and look. I got fucking face tattoos, for God's sake. Like, if you think that people don't mistake my lifestyle and haven't been mistaking my lifestyle since I was a teenager, then you don't know shit from chocolate, right? So it's like, I grew up in an area where watching what you say and how you move is just part of being alive.
Come on, man.
And so I hope that continues. And people see me for who I am. And I got mad love for everybody from every side, because I come from the same places.
Santa Ana in the building.
Come on now.
Come on.
And so, you know, the love is at an all-time high, and the gratitude is at an all-time high to all my Usos, my Tocos, my Chelus, all the homies from every rock in the ocean that has reached out to show love. I know that I am representing all of us in some way, shape, or form, and I recognize that as a responsibility that comes with, you know, a lot of intention and detail that has to be taken care of. And so, hopefully I do it right.
Come on, man.
But the whole idea is, like, I'm not a fucking anomaly. I'm not the only fucking talented, you know, Pacific Islander rapper out there. You know, I know actually 100 of them myself.
Literally.
And I literally, bro. And I come from a generation that is 3 generations removed from the greatest of all time, which is Gangsta Riz. So it's like,
man.
Rest
in peace, Riz.
Rest in peace. So I'm not an anomaly. And like I said, I ain't carrying shit on my back. I'm trying to tear walls down so people come into our culture and be like, damn, it's him too, and it's Craig, and it's D-Boy, and it's all these MCs as well? They get down like this too?
Crazy.
No, of course they get down. You think I'm special?
Yeah.
I ain't special. I'm just one of a whole army of motherfuckers that get down like this.
Come on. Jay TAJ'S is here, your boy Big Body Cisco Western Conference, giving your flowers, brother.
Come on, baby.
Because you represent us in a major way.
Much love.
You're going to see more of him. I'm telling y'all, go support that. Go follow him. Go get all the music he got on social media and all digital music outlets. Western Conference, Big Body, Jay TAJ'S. We out.
Yes, sir.
Come on.